What's going on, guys? Fun with Eyes back again, and I got something pretty cool to show you in another guest knife overview video. And this one was actually sent in by a viewer named Chris. So Chris, thanks so much for that. He contacted me, said he had a knife he'd like me to check out, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. So he graciously sent that along, and I get to do a video on it and send it back. So very cool that I got viewers willing to do that. So this is a Kershaw launch knife, which means it's proudly made in the USA, and of course it is in automatic. So you get kind of the standard box here, of course, with your ridiculous warning telling you that there's dumb laws out there, and which with this one is trying to kind of work around, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But this is the Launch 4, or the 7500, and it's in black, so it's an entirely blacked out version. And this was always the Launch knife, or the knife in the Launch series that I had a little bit of trepidation about. I think I would probably like anything in the Launch line, and I was always saying, maybe not this one, because I'm not huge on the small knives. If you guys know, if you guys watch the channel, you'll know that I'm not huge on things that aren't insanely hand-filling when there's no need. And for me, essentially, there's no need. I recognize the importance of smaller knives in states or municipalities that have laws that govern blade size and certain types of opening methods and such. But I don't have any of those in my state. So why not get something that's going to be a little bit more well suited to my needs? Once I got this thing in hand, I was actually kind of surprised. So pretty standard stuff. Your little Kershaw booklet full of paperwork here on how to maintain it and stuff. Nothing too special. So let's look at the knife here. Get your push red to fire button, of course. That's kind of comes standard on the standard black handled Kershaw launches. You got the kind of Hinderer inspired clip. It's going to leave you a little bit out of the pocket. We'll talk about that. Perfect blade centering. Same materials used, CPM 154 steel with the 6061 anodized aluminum handle. But man, this thing is the definition of a snappy action. That thing just rockets out there, truly launches out of there. I mean, how freaking cool is that? This knife, this is almost my final conclusion. This knife would bring me enjoyment even if I didn't cut anything with it, because it's so snappy. It's got such a good action. It's so powerful in such a little package that Blade HQ, in their description of this knife, the last sentence is, "This knife is a pint-sized performance." I don't doubt that for what you're getting here. So let's look at the blade here and get some specs out of the way. This is a 1.9-inch blade. If you guys have seen the rest of the Launch series, there's not really a knife that's even close to this in size. So why in the world would they make this oddball, this one that's outside of the norm as far as size goes? Because it's California compliant. And apparently, California has a law that says you cannot, I don't know if it's own, but I'm definitely sure it's carry an automatic knife with more than a 2-inch blade. And if that's the definition, or if that's not the definition of a dumb knife law, I don't know what is. But apparently this gets around that, and people in California can either own or carry or both of this knife. That's kind of cool for our folks over there that can't experience some of the cool autos out there made by all those great auto companies. And I think this would be a pretty decent choice considering how freaking fun this is, and it has a fairly good blade grind. 1.9-inch blade here. Your handle length is only 3.2 inches, meaning this is a 3-finger knife, maybe. I mean, if you're going to hold it in a hammer grip, you're going to get 3 fingers on it. If it's kind of the saber grip, you're going to get the solid 2.5 kind of grip. So a very small knife for sure, but enough handle and enough neutrality in that handle that doesn't force you into a grip. You can definitely get some work done with it. Blade thickness on this guy is 0.12 inches, so kind of standard. That 1/8 of an inch thick blade. Your weight on this guy is 1.9 ounces, 9.8 ounces. And I mean, that's insanely light. I doubt anyone's going to feel that in the pocket, especially with its small footprint. This is only a right-hand tip-up carry. You can see that there. This clip is not reversible. I'm sure they would run into some problems there, at least with the mechanism, because of course you couldn't reach that firing button. But everything else is kind of standard Kershaw launch. It's USA made. It's using CPM 154 steel, so a powdered metallurgy version of 154 CM steel. You can see here 7500 BLK, Kai USA, the steel type there. Then of course just, I don't know if I got some oil on my hands from maintaining knives. I don't know what's getting on that coating, but just auto Kershaw there. So kind of cool. I mean, I've had to hold this thing up so close to the camera that it looks just absolutely ridiculous in my hands. But kind of a cool little blade shape here. If you look at the silhouette, it's almost a perfect spear point, but the grind is kind of a 2/3 saber grind. So it's got a flat grind. It's not supremely thin behind the edge. I don't think you could get that unless you had really thin stock on such a narrow, small blade. But I definitely think this would serve well as a box cutter, a letter opener, and some of those more basic EDC tasks. This would definitely get it done. Now, I mean, carving open an apple or, doing food prep is kind of out of the question with this thing because you don't really have a whole lot of reach. There's not a whole lot of blade for you to work with there. So very limited, I think, in its scope. But I think this will appeal to a lot of people outside of California or similar places that have similar laws. This is kind of a cool collector's piece and definitely a cool fidgety kind of knife. A little bit hard to close, not one-handed, but with proficiency. It just looks like I'm dwarfing the knife with my hand. But this is a push-button auto with a plunge lock, as they tend to be. Again, that action is just phenomenal. It's so cool to see that thing flip out of there. The spring tension is fairly tight, so it's not a two-hand closer. You don't need to do that, but it's a little bit easier than kind of manipulating your hand around. I got to kind of have my hand in the right place to close this thing. Fit and finish is pretty awesome for a $75 knife. I think anything in the launch series is going to run you from $70 to about $110. So I think they're very value-oriented when it comes to a USA-made powdered metallurgy automatic knife. I don't think you can do a whole lot better than this. At least that's what I've seen from, the current market. You have your USA flag that's on all the models and some pretty cool chamfering, again, on this very neutral handle. Got some chamfers along each edge, nothing sharp. It feels pretty good in hand or in 2/3 of my hand. But there's enough handle there to get work done. I don't think it would fatigue your hand too bad to use this for an extended period of time, assuming that this blade shape is all that you needed. Now, again, blade centering is perfect. It is nice and sharp. You can see that this knife is essentially new. I don't think he's used this one little or at all. The clip on this guy is literally the entire length of the knife. You're going to get quite a bit out of pocket. And now, I don't know really how I feel about this. I kind of wish they would have put a loop over clip, but really on such a small knife, it might have been very hard to get that out of your pocket. I'm not entirely sure. So this clip does work very well, though. It's got good retention. It's kind of your basic pocket clip shape that's going to go in and out of your pocket and not fall out in the process. That I think it was a decent choice, or at least a safe one at that. No lanyard hole on this one. No lanyard loop or anything like that. You're stuck with a normal pocket knife without a lanyard hole, which is kind of blasphemous to some people. But not me. I'm not a huge lanyard guy. I don't think I ever was. I tried with it, experimented, but I don't think it was my thing. Kind of in line with the rest of the launch series. The two slabs of aluminum look like an integral design, but they're not. Lockup on this guy, almost forgot to talk about that. Really good. I mean, there's no blade wiggle there at all. Really nothing going on. That's a very solid lockup for a plunge lock. And I think that kind of brings us to our conclusions on this little guy. This thing's cool. I don't know if it's necessarily something I'd want to own outside of the fidgety aspect, maybe as a secondary kind of blade. If you're carrying a larger EDC knife like the one I carried today, if I can grab it out of my little knife den, this ETO 220. I mean, look how much that absolutely dwarfs that thing. If you wanted something that wasn't quite as large to cut down boxes and do simple tasks like that, you could, carry this in the same pocket even. It's that lightweight and it's that small. So maybe that secondary blade, definitely a good fidget toy. And maybe if you wanted an automatic knife and you couldn't get one otherwise, this is your choice. So let me know what you guys think about this one. I've heard very mixed things on it, but the overall consensus with people that like automatic knives or even like small knives in general is that this is a really cool piece. And obviously it's been popular enough for Kershaw to release multiple color variations, and even I think they got some like Damasteel or Damascus versions, so it's done well enough for them to expand their product line. So it's probably a good indication of how well it's been received, although a lot of people like me like their larger knives. So thanks again, Chris, for letting me take a look at this one, and thanks to you guys for watching, and of course, have fun with your knives.